You're locked into the Womanora Crush Wednesday podcast, the only weekly podcast inspiring, educating, motivating 1 million women entrepreneurs one Wednesday at a time. The WCW podcast is fueled by the purpose formula: passion plus purpose plus profit equals success. And here are your hosts, Jen and Modi.
You are listening to episode 9 of the Womanora Crush Wednesday podcast, Turning Your Dreams into Dollars with Reiko Foster. Reiko is a mom, former educator, writer, turned entrepreneur. She authored and penned style blog God's Favorite Surprises and has been featured in countless online publications such as Essence Magazine. In 2015, she created and launched God's Favorite Surprises, a niche concierge service dedicated to spreading kindness by way of handwritten thank you cards. We are so happy to have Reiko on the show, and we hope you enjoy. Now, crushes, you know we pride ourselves on audio quality and high quality, amazing content. Sadly, today we have to do our first disclaimer. Google Hangout has hated on us this episode and was just not cutting it. The audio quality is a bit jumpy, cutting out at certain parts, and we just wanted you to be aware of that. We thought that the content was still amazing, still excellent, so we decided to publish, and we hope you still enjoy. Hey, crushes. This week we are excited to have Reiko Foster as our WCW of the week. Welcome, Reiko, to Womenora Crush Wednesday podcast.
Thank you.
Okay, Reiko, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm a little settling down at the end of the night, but I'm doing good. No complaints.
Same here. So we want to start off and ask you, could you tell us your Womanora story, or how did you start as an entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, the name of my business is God's Favorite Surprises, and ultimately it is a concierge service, and I'll talk more about what I specialize in. But my history is that I'm an educator. I'm an educator. I taught for over 15, almost going into 16 years. I was an English teacher here in Texas, public school, and trying to find this nice way to say this. I was getting tired of it. Just the stuff that was involved with being a teacher. It's not just, going in and teaching Shakespeare. It's everything else but that. And so over the years, it kind of would just run me down. But that's something I knew how to do. I have my degree was in journalism, and I had a minor in psychology. So I knew that there was something in my capabilities, so I just went for it. And while teaching, I also started, I believe it was in 2008, I started a style blog called God's Favorite Shoes. And I just did that as a hobby. I was just like, couldn't even tell you how I started the blog, specifically. But I started it, and I was still teaching in the daytime. And my following started to grow for the blog. It was God's Favorite Shoes. And I would just take pictures of my outfit and have little stories about what was going on in my day-to-day routine or what was going on. So it wasn't just like, oh, look at my pretty outfit. It was, this is what's going on in my life while I'm wearing this outfit. And so it started to grow, and I somehow garnered, cool people that started to follow me regularly, I should say. And the blog kind of put me on the blog scene, especially at the beginning of the blog craze. And so I didn't really take it seriously. It was a hobby to me. I had no clue at the time that, you could earn an income from blogging. I was still teaching, so that's what I would do. And so probably the last 5 years of teaching, I taught high school, and it just was really physically wearing me down. And I'd come home sometimes kind of upset, talk to my husband, and I have an almost 3-year-old now, and then I have a 8-month-old. So while I was pregnant with my now 8-month-old, I would come home in tears, and I would tell my husband, like, oh, I can't take it. It's too much. I'm much more of a creative person. I don't want to die this way. I don't want to die being the person that was just a teacher and not super in love with the teaching process. So in March of 2015, almost on the cusp of spring break, I was in tears about something, and my husband looked at me and he said, I'm tired of you coming home crying. He's like, if you can figure out what it is you can do and what it is you want to do, he's like, I support you, because I was going to going on maternity leave. So he was just like, you don't have to go back to work if you come up with a plan. And I promise you, when he never said that to me before. Mm-hmm. It kind of was just like, oh, you'll figure it out. But he never said, if you come up with a plan, I got your back. So it was almost like the heavens opened up and my ears like literally stopped screaming. And I was just like, let me come up with a plan. And I didn't know what it was. So I dabbled in a few things. I was blogging. Sometimes I would do style sessions, and I would go and revamp some of my friends' wardrobes. So I knew that I was good at that type of stuff, but not enough for me to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. So I remember sending an email out within that week to my close friends, and it was just kind of like, hey, I'm kind of thinking about going through a career transition. Let me know what you think I'm good at. Like, what is it that you know about me that maybe I don't know about myself that you consider me good at? What do you think I could get paid at? And let's see if I can find a way to turn that into a business. And so I got emails about, oh, well, you're a really good writer because I blog. And, oh, you're really good at style because I blog. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, well, at the time, I didn't think I could do anything with that. So I was just stumped that I couldn't figure it out, and I was frustrated. So I said, just randomly one night, I was like, you know what, instead of me trying to figure it out, let me just send cards and flowers to 3 people that I personally knew who are doing the damn thing, if you will. Mm-hmm. And friends that I admire, like, maybe they started their own business, or maybe they're, doing something creative and they're finding a way to earn an income from it. So I sent flowers, and I didn't let them know I was going to do it. I just sent them flowers and a card. One was Chastity. She is a blogger at garnerstyle.com. She's in California, and she's really big in the plus size community. And I knew our blog was growing, but that's not why I sent the flowers. I just sent them because, like, I saw that she was making moves, and I respected it. I was just like, I respect anybody that's a girl boss. And she was showing me that she was a girl boss. So I sent it to her. I sent it to my friend Lynette, who's a teacher in Dallas, and she's always supported me. And I sent it to one other friend. And so I just sent it with no expectations, didn't expect like a phone call or anything. Mm-hmm. I got my first call. I thought someone would text me. I thought I would go, oh, Reiko, I got your flowers, thank you. I thought it would be that. But what happened really started my business. Chastity called me, and she was really emotional. And I was like, are you okay? And she was just kind of telling me that on that particular day, those flowers meant the world to her. She was going through something business-wise, and she had no idea that I was looking up to her in that respect. Like, she was my friend, but she didn't know that I admired her business savvy. She didn't know that I was watching her and basically earned her business into. So she was, like, really emotional about having those, and she just said, I didn't expect it. And so I just kind of thought, oh, that's a weird, I thought I was going to get a text. I didn't think that I would get a phone call. She really liked it. So I just kind of took the call, and we talked about other things. And trying to make sure you don't hear anything in my background. All right. And so I took the call, and that was that. And so I believe the next day, when Nat from Dallas, my friend in Dallas, got the flowers. And her call was way different, but along the same line. She called, but she was in tears, like just straight up tears. And she was saying that on that day, she was having a really terrible day. And she did not expect flowers, especially from a friend, especially from a girl. And I sent the flowers to her job. So I promise you, it was almost like a light bulb moment. And I thought, I'm getting this reaction from two of my friends because they didn't know that I looked at them outside of being a friend. And they had no idea that they were coming, and they felt appreciative of it. So I just thought to myself, why can't I do that for other people? For people who are busy, how many times someone might help you in your personal life, your professional life. I would always wonder, like, you see somebody and you go, oh, I need to send them flowers because she helped me out with such and such, or she helped me out with this, but you never get around to it. So then I just thought, why can't I do this as a business? Why can't I send thank you cards, not necessarily flowers, but thank you cards on the behalf of busy people? And so honestly, that's how God's Favorite Surprises started. I just kind of, it took me like maybe a month to try to figure it out. And at first it started with me trying to figure out if I could send flowers to people across the country. If you contacted me and I would do it, but that became costly and it wasn't cost effective. And it just kind of turned into me creating thank you cards. And I created some cards that said, you inspire me. And I created, third card was, I am so proud of you. Because I felt like those are the things that we don't tell each other. We don't tell each other it's women. You know what I mean? It's very, when we're hard on each other and we don't compliment each other. Why can't I be that person or be that vessel to communicate that for someone who's too busy to do it? And that's really how it started. So I think at the end of the school year, I had the baby in August, and here we are. And so it's now,
awesome.
Now it's mostly I focus on writing thank you cards on behalf of businesses, on behalf of brides after the wedding, and also, individual people as well. But really, my goal is to do contract bulk thank you cards in that sense. But that's how we got here.
Thank you. That's awesome. Shout out to Mr. Foster for getting the ball rolling.
I know. Thank you. Yes, I have to give him his props. He did it. That was the first time it ever happened. And had he not said that, I probably would still be teaching and very, very unhappy.
That proves the support system that you need and the tribe you need behind you. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's true. So, Reiko, how did you how did you know you could monetize your skill set? How did you know you could make money from that?
I knew just because of my connections. Like I said, with my God's Favorite Shoes, which was a style blog, I knew I had connections in the blog world. I had, just over the years, I'd already built valuable relationships with other bloggers across the country. And so we've had connections. Some of them have turned into like my true friends. And so I kind of just, what I did was initially, before I launched the business officially, I sent out thank you cards to some of my blogger friends who I don't talk to on a regular basis, just to see if it was a fluke, the initial reaction that I got from my friends, or would that feeling still translate again and again and again. And so what I did was, and it wasn't all bloggers, but I sent the same type of thing. I sent like thank you cards. I'm a teacher, so I remember sending a card to someone that was at high school where I last worked, and she would always help me. So I just randomly sent a thank you card to her to say, hey, I'm not working there anymore, but I want to let you know that I remember that you went out of your way to help me. And I kept feeling like the sentiment was the same. People were really appreciative, and it just made me think like, people don't say thank you to each other enough. And that's really all I'm doing, is I'm doing it for other people. So with my connections through the blog community and just through my personal connections through educators, I started to get the sense that this was something that was needed and something that hasn't really been done. And so I just kind of built, my momentum for that. That's kind of how it started. It really started in the blog world and my education background, and I would do it on behalf of my friends too. And that's kind of how it all started. So I worked with the people, the core people that I knew, in order to kind of just to make sure that this wasn't a fluke, that this could be a legitimate business.
That it would be effective.
I Googled it, and I knew that it didn't exist. So that's when I was like, I can make this exist.
Yes.
Right. So through research and then your connections, you already knew, like you pretty much evaluated and then validated the idea. So
Absolutely.
that you knew. Okay, got
Absolutely.
it.
Awesome.
Okay, we see that you told us you recently went full-time in your business. So can you give us some insight on that process or how our crushes could maybe prepare for that kind of transition financially, emotionally?
My situation is it was unique. I really believe God had his hand all over this in terms of timing. Because it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm balling out of control. I'm gonna quit today. It wasn't that. It was I already was going to be not necessarily working for a while because I was about to have a baby. So in my head, I kind of thought, well, this is my only little space of opportunity where I wasn't going to go to work anyway. So it was either do it now while you're already going to be off, or never do it and be miserable. So my situation is unique in the sense that what people don't know is that within the last 2 years, I sold my house in another part of Houston, and my husband and I, we built a new house up north. And so I made a nice little profit from the house. Mm-hmm. And I bought that house before I got married. And so because of the location of where the house was, I turned a profit. So I just used the leftover, honestly, as my salary for the year. You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't like, and don't get me wrong, there may very well be a time, maybe coming up soon, where I am going to have to maybe get a part-time job if I can't get this, it's still a process, it's not able to sustain me, right. If you will. But right now, supplemental income, that's how it is. That's how it's serving me right now. But that's the only way I was able to do it is that, the backstory is that I did have a little something saved up from the sale of my house. So that was that's what I said, it was God's timing. I was pregnant, it was the end of the school year, and I just sold the house. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's kind of what I lived off of.
Right. So, that just leads me to, like, okay, this is your story, right? Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes you get discouraged. Absolutely. And we actually talked about, like how entrepreneurs like fight the discouragement at times, so yes. My question to you would be, what drives you daily? Like what keeps you creatively inspired in your business? Because I know at times if business is slow, and then like, what do you do? How do you, what are your, daily routines? What drives you? What makes you, passionate about God's favorite surprises? Because I just love, Reiko, I love the name. And
thank you.
I know God is like, I feel like
it's so on point.
It is. It really is. And I believe that God is really in there with doing this and helping you with, with your business. It's just, we just want to know, like, what really just drives you on a daily basis to keep going.
Right now, I just feel like I'm 40 years old right now, and I popped out the baby when I was right on the cusp of turning 40. And so, I don't know, I'd already been kind of feeling like for the last 2 or 3 years, like this isn't it, me teaching and dying. That's not my story. That's how I just knew in my spirit that there was something else. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the business was born organically, like I wasn't writing thank you cards for fun for 10 years. This literally was just kind of I won't use the word fluke, but it just happened. And so what I wasn't prepared for is, as you said, the downside, the slow side of business. And that's something that people don't really talk about. Mm-hmm. When you're on, you're seeing all these posts and you think they're rolling in a dough and you have no idea that they're like robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know what I mean? You don't get that side of it. So right now, I'll be honest with you, my husband is inspiring me a lot lately. He's really, because, I get down just because of how slow it is. And because by nature, I'm not a business-minded person. So I'm learning to and being a creative sometimes don't they don't balance each other out. And so down, and I'm like, I'm not trying to come, not work. But he would always just say, well, Reiko, just keep doing it. And so he's helped me to kind of identify my audiences. Like he's like, in Houston, especially in the summer, brides and weddings are a big deal here. So why don't you, focus on that? And so that would get me going. You know what I mean? And I would start, that makes me creative. By not trying, like, I would feel devastated if I never tried it. It was like, maybe in a year I'll be doing some business, but right now, this is my baby. Right now, I need to see this baby grow. And right now, I need to feed this baby. So, that's my motivation. And I just, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it big. Or I'm going like, I want to fall hard. Not necessarily financially, but at least I put forth the effort. So right now, that's the only thing that's keeping me going. And it's working. A couple of things have happened in the last 2 months that I did not expect. Some opportunities that have popped up in terms of me vending for conferences, something I never considered doing before. And that's generating income for me. So it's really just being open and listening. A lot of times you close yourself off and you think you know stuff, and then you never know when some random person speaks life into your business in some indirect way. And that's really what I'm learning too, is to keep my ears open and keep my heart open and not be so regimented. Did I answer your question? I can go all around question.
It definitely did.
Okay, good.
Yes, it did.
It definitely did. I like to say, this is something I heard. I don't really remember where I heard it, but even though you might feel like you're not an expert, somebody's always watching, and you are more of an expert than at least 10 other people in what you're doing. I mean, somebody is behind you. Somebody you have already, done a little bit more than they have, or researched more than they have. So, I mean, that's really something that keeps me going too, because I know at any given day, I've done a little bit more than at least 10 people, at least.
Absolutely. And then you're doing, and I do take that into consideration. Like even lately, just people, my friends and people in the blog world, because I still kind of blog at God's Favorite Shoes, so people know me on some level in that world, and so they know this story. And I really honestly cannot tell you how many times I've gotten a text or an Instagram message or a direct email saying, hey, you don't know me. I've been following you from God's Favorite Shoes. I followed you when you had your kids, your wedding, and I admire you, and I respect what you're doing. And that's something I was just doing something. I was just like, I need to do this for me. But you're right. You never know who you're inspiring. And that makes me go as well, too. Because,
you inspire
it's not a conscious thing, but when you do something from the heart and you do it organically, and you're doing it because you love it, you can't help but to inspire people. Like, it's impossible for someone not to be motivated or inspired by you. It's impossible.
Oh, yes.
100% agree.
I do believe that you are very authentic, Reiko. Most especially with this God's Favorite Surprises. It's going to take off because so many people have to say thank you. So many people have to say thank you. And, like you said, a lot of people don't have the time to put in to do it. And they really want to do it, but they just don't have the time. So
Absolutely.
Like what you've created, it's really going to take off. I believe that.
Modi, I remember you mentioning another podcaster to me.
Yes.
That is also in need of thank you. Do you remember that story? She's needing some like.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, maybe I think it was. I was listening to another podcast, and she mentioned that on her podcast, My Leak. She mentioned it on her podcast. about thank you cards, and she was, I think she was in need of it or something in those, in those regards, I believe. But when she mentioned it, you popped up, and I was just like, Reiko needs to get in touch with her.
Like I'm telling you, I'm having a full circle moment. Before I ever thought of God's Favorite Surprises, before I ever sent flowers to my very first friend, Chastity, the blogger, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about Leek. She is like the business mentor from heaven. And I follow her on all social media. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And she did a podcast, I don't know how many years ago. I kind of became aware of her early in 2015, and so I kind of would listen to all of her old business podcasts. And in one of the podcasts, she talked about how in the beginning of her career, I believe she was interning somewhere. She didn't have a lot of money, and so she scraped up the little bit of money she had to purchase some flowers for her boss. I believe it was for her boss's birthday. And she didn't have a lot of money, but I think it was like a $50 bouquet or something. And that stuck in the back, I promise you. My Leek story stuck in the back of my mind. And so when God's Favorite Surprises was born, that kind of was, I remembered that story. And I remember the sentiment of sending somebody a thank you or sending someone a note or flowers saying, hey, this is just because. So it's funny that you mentioned my Leek, and I do know the podcast we're talking about now. But full circle would be for me to work with my Leek in some kind of way. I'm putting it out there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I believe it definitely would happen. I think she would be very receptive to it. I'm pretty sure there's probably no other business that, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty confident that there's probably no other business like yours that has approached her to even do that. That would be so awesome if you could collaborate with her.
Awesome.
I know. It is on my list.
Ever.
It's on my list. But especially what I'm learning, especially in this year of me learning to be an entrepreneur, is that, and also listen to my broadcast, is like sometimes when you reach out to people, you don't want to always offer your business to them or like, hey, here's my book, or hey, I'm selling this, if they... if that's the only reason why you're connecting with them. You understand what I'm saying? So even just in the instance of my Leek, I know it's going to happen, but I just feel like I need to figure out how I can be of service to her. And I just feel like that's what's missing in networking, is that when you're networking, you're collecting all these cards and you're going to all these hangouts and happy hours, but you're not making real connections. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah.
That's why I say, in due time, I don't know, things, I believe in the universe and God putting his hand, on everything that I do. So I know this is going to come around. I just don't know how. I don't know when. But I just want to be of service to her and other business owners as well when I do connect with her.
Definitely. It should be a mutual connection. Yeah. So, Reiko, we have a mantra on the show that's called the Purpose Formula.
Yeah.
And it purpose, passion, profit equals success. Could you tell us about your purpose formula?
Sure. Right now, my purpose is, I'm going to just be genuine with you. If I want to wake up happy, that's my goal in life. Money has never motivated me, even my husband. It kind of drives him crazy. Like, let's go have a picnic. I'm not worried about that. That doesn't motivate me. I don't get depressed. You know what I mean? That's just not me. But I am very focused on living a full life, and I'm very focused on living a happy life. And I know that I have to pay bills. So my purpose right now is to find the way to connect my creative passion and be of service to other people in some kind of way. And I feel like if I can marry those two things, that the money is going to follow. And so that's really what I'm trying to do now. Right now, I'm in the middle of trying to not necessarily revamp my business, but there are a couple of events that are coming up that I'm working on that I have to kind of cater directly with those two projects. But my purpose still is just to wake up every day, live life, be happy, and find a way to get paid in doing what I like to do.
Yeah.
You know, I've been a teacher for 15 to 16 years, and I didn't hate it. I actually really love teaching. I'm a good teacher, but I didn't get to English. Like, I enjoy teaching Shakespeare, but that's not what I was doing. I was policing someone's kid. I was writing some referral. I was, arguing with some parent that their kid is an idiot. I don't want to say those things. So, that didn't make me completely happy. It paid the bills, but I wasn't happy. And like, it's way too many people in my circle that have been dying at 42, 43, 44, 45 years old. I'm 40 years old now. That's in my age bracket. I'm not trying to die unhappy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a big portion or a big fraction of my purpose, if you will, for my business.
Okay. That's awesome, Reiko. And I've always said that thank you just really just goes a long way. It goes a long way. I mean, I think thank you means more than money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, and sometimes, thank you is common sense, basically.
And common courtesy.
It's common courtesy. If someone opens the door for you, you say thank you. Someone gives you something, you say thank you. I mean, I'm that type of person anyway, but, the top 3 things that you could impart on someone that was to follow your footsteps, if you have that to give to our crushes out there that would love to just, follow your footsteps, like the things that you've done to get to where you are today, could you give us about 3 of them?
Sure. I think one of the things that, it maybe didn't really work out to my advantage in the beginning, but one of the things I am so grateful that I started this process with was when I decided I was going to take the creative route and I wasn't going to necessarily teach anymore. The fact that I put together a list of friends that I think enough of to give me honest answers and ask them, hey, what do you think that I'm good at? You'd be surprised at what you think is something that's natural to you. Other people think it's your gift. And a lot of times you miss your gift because it comes naturally to you. That's why it's called a gift. But you may think, for me, I can see someone wearing, it can be a plaid shirt and a polka dot pair of shoes on the table. And immediately I see an outfit. Whereas somebody else will be like, oh, I got to go buy some black pants to go with that shirt. I don't think like that. And it took my friends, friends that I value, to make me realize that that's a gift. And that's not something that everyone can do naturally. So that would be step 1, is to maybe reach out to your friends, your professional circles, people that you trust. Like, don't contact people that secretly, hate you anyway. But people in your circle that can give you some honest feedback and simply ask, what do you think I'm good at? Like, if you could pay me for something, what would you pay me to do? You never know. It can be writing, it can be hair. And a lot of times that will guide you to what, might be a business for you. So that would be 1. I guess number 2 would be to do your research. I can't tell you. Google is your friend. Like,
Google is everything.
Yes. Like, and I've learned I will Google something 3 or 4 times before I ask someone a question because it's just too much information out there not to know anything. But even with this business, I Googled to death. Like, I had to literally make myself stop researching and launch my business because I was still looking for stuff. I was like, oh, let me look for this. And the thing that for me personally, I Googled a concierge service. Like, I literally looked up ad nauseum if this business already existed. Like, I could not find it. And so to me, that excited me because I love the motto. It says that people say a lot of time on social media, create things that you wish existed. And so this was that for me. So see if, do your research. See if what you're planning on doing, if it exists. And even if it exists, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Like, you like hamburgers. There's not just one hamburger joint you can go to. You can go to McDonald's. You can go to In-N-Out Burger. You can go to whatever. You know what I mean? It's about how you do it differently. So that would be number 2, just the research. And then number 3 is very simple. Can I curse? Haven't I already? Shit or get off the pipe. Like,
do you?
Yeah, I really believe that. Like, so many people, I get so many texts and emails saying, I can't believe you stopped teaching. I can't believe you did it. And it got to the point where I had to be amazed by myself. Like, I actually did it because it's hard to just start something, especially something that you've never done before. I'm not a business person. I'm a writer at heart. I love clothes. For me to say, hey, I'm giving up this salary, this insurance, this security, and I'm going to try my best to create something, that's hard. But I had to do it. And it literally just took me sending one thank you card to somebody that I didn't know on behalf of someone with my business card, and I became a business.
Right.
So it really is that easy. A lot of times people get hung up. Like, you have to have the perfect business plan, and you have to have the perfect website. And sometimes you just have to do it. Just do it.
Yeah. It's the security that keeps you in the trap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You locked down. So.
Mm-hmm. But I get it, though. I get being scared. You got bills.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't come out here. Yeah, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody can't just, I just kind of got lucky. I was pregnant at the time. Things just kind of lined up. But, at some point you still just have to go for it.
Definitely. Take a chance, honey. That's what we say. Yes. # take a chance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So Reiko, what is next for God's Favorite Surprises? What upcoming project should our listeners be looking out for?
Okay. Right. Well, on my website, I sold out of all of my. Originally, I had 4 cards. 3 of them sold really well. There was the thank you card, and that became very popular. There was the I am so proud of you card, where you would just send it to, someone that maybe just got a new job, or maybe they just graduated college, just something that just acknowledges that you're proud of them. And then the third one was you inspire me. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like a lot of times, especially with women, we don't admit when someone else when we've been inspired by another woman. I don't know why we're like that, but we're very hush-hush about that. Mm-hmm. So on the website, those are the cards that are available. I do have a new series of cards that I'm launching just until the end of the summer, and they are the You Are series of cards, and they are the You Are Beautiful cards. So the objective is for you not to order the card for yourself, because I'm not a card business. I'm a concierge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want you to go to my website. Think of someone that you have been meaning to say, hey, you are beautiful. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, you are so dope, which is another card. And send that card through me to that person. That's really the objective. So those cards are coming. They'll be launched on the website by the end of this week, and they'll be available through the summer. And then I have 2 events. God's Favorite Surprises will be a vendor at a new, at a symposium in Houston on April 24th. It's called the You Are Beautiful Symposium. And there will be some Houston bloggers, some Texas bloggers that will be talking about style and finance and things like this for style. And so I'm pulling double duty. But God's Favorite Surprises will have a booth where you can come by. You can buy a mug, a card for yourself, or you can order a card to send to someone else, and I'll send it on your behalf within a week. So that in April, and then I'm doing the same thing in New York for the CurvyCon conference in June, in middle of June. So those are the two big things I'm working on right now.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome sauce. Where can you be reached, Reiko? And can you give our crushes your handles?
Sure. All right. For my business, I am on Instagram at God's Favorite Surprises, all one word. I have a Facebook for God's Favorite Surprises, and I have a Twitter. And then also, because I originally started as a blogger, so I still have my original blog handle. I can be reached on Instagram at God's Fave Shoe. But if you just Google God's Favorite Surprises or God's Favorite Shoes, God's Favorite anything, you're going to find me.
That's right.
Well, so that's me. It's a Facebook. And then my website, of course, is godsfavoritesurprises.com.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you giving us some time today to speak to us and our crushes. And I just wanted to let the crushes know that, it doesn't take anything just to say thank you. Absolutely. It really doesn't take anything to say thank you. So thank you very much, Reiko, for, sharing the love and letting people know that it's okay to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys reaching out to me. And really, to me, even the fact that you even thought about my business, that's motivation in itself. Because now you know I exist.
Oh, yes.
And just for me, as a newbie entrepreneur, that's big in itself. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
It's hard finding stories. And that's what I look forward to as a business person. I'm always looking for the story behind the business. So I love that you guys highlight that.
Thank you, Reiko. Now, thousands of others will also know about God's Favorite. So
awesome.
We will talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Womanore Crush Wednesday podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for Girl Talk with Jen and Modi, along with some of your favorite business crushes, more exclusive business tips, insights, creative business ideas, and doable action steps to improve your business and help you create your phenomenal life. Sharing is caring. Don't forget to tell a friend to subscribe and stay tuned for a weekly dose of the WCW podcast. Crushing hard on a womanore and want to hear her story on the show? Know a creative woman-owned business that's killing it? Let us know at womanorcrushwednesday@gmail.com.